Alright, howdy boyos, and welcome to War Thunder's 1.79 dev server, the X project, referring to the XM series of tanks that were prototypes for the, I would say, probably world-famous M1 Abrams. Now, in this video, which I haven't done in a long time, but I saw the dev server was up, and I'm actually kind of interested in getting a little bit back into War Thunder again. I know I said that a billion times, but I actually mean it, well, hopefully I mean it this time. So I figured I would go over all the new vehicles added in the 1.79 test server, and give you a little tiny bit of information, obviously, while we're talking about these tanks. So first of all, is the XM1 GM, or General Motors version. There's actually two XM1s that are going to be added to War Thunder. However, the XM GM will be added to the PC and PS4 versions, whereas the C, or Chrysler version, different factories, much like Germany had different factories produce Tigers. These two different variations, which are, as far as I'm aware, basically a carbon copy of each other besides the camouflage, this one will be available for PS4 and PC, and the XM Chrysler will be available just for people on the Xbox One. So if you're playing War Thunder on Xbox One, hey, there you go, you got yourself a cool tank that no one else can get. Well, other people on the Xbox One can get it, but not people on the PS4 or PC. So the XM1 is a premium tank, and kind of surprises me that they're putting, I guess, an Abrams as a premium. It's not an Abrams, but you know what I mean. It's a fake Abrams, right? And I think that they want to give people, and this makes sense from their company's perspective, they want to give people a chance to own a Abrams, I'm doing air quotes right now, Abrams, without actually getting all the way up to, I think, what is it now, tier 6 to get an Abrams? So, I mean, I understand why they're doing it. I myself don't have an Abrams on the main servers yet. I can see why people want an Abrams, so I understand why they're putting this as a premium. So, next up is the XM803. Alright, so next up, the XM803 is a direct follow-up on the failed MBT-70 prototype. And the XM803 is actually historically seen it was basically a way for the engineers to create a tank that was cheaper to produce than the MBT-70. And to give you some numbers here, I did my research. An M1 Abrams up in the year 2000 cost about $5 million to produce. When the MBT-70 and XM803 were being made, it would take roughly $8 million to make a single tank. The differences between the MBT-70 and the XM803 are small, but I think they're important to notice. On the XM803, you lose the 20 mil and instead get a 50 cal. Realistically or historically, this was to try and cut down on the complexity of the tank and to make it, cost a little bit less. The engine was also a little bit made a bit smaller, so the XM803 should pretty much be basically an MBT-70, however, a little bit of a lesser top speed, and obviously losing a 20 mil in favor for a more old school 50 cal. And like I said, the project was still not really adopted because, like I said, the cost for one unit was almost $8 million compared to $5 million, which is still a lot of money, but that's almost 50% of the cost of an XM803 or MBT-70. So, interesting little tank. I did do some test drives with these when the MBT-70 was first introduced. I do not assume there's a giant difference between the MBT-70's performance, because it should still be the same gun, and the XM803. I personally wasn't a big fan. Maybe you like it. Let's jump on to the next one, which is a new model for the T-32. So the T-32 got a model overhaul and apparently is a different model than when it was originally in the game. I'm going to be 100% honest with you here. I have not played enough of these higher tier games in War Thunder tanks recently, and I do not really recall the T-32 as a tank. I believe the turret looks a bit different, but this is something that you seasoned tankers will be more aware of than I myself. Also, before we go on to the Germans, do let me know in the comments section, are you at all interested in having some more historical information? Personally, I really love talking about tanks and planes. I could probably talk about them for hours, more hours than I have video space to record. Like, I have only so many gigabytes to record. I could probably talk about tanks and guns and planes and ships and whatever for way longer. But I'm interested to know if you're interested in these videos. I would actually personally really want to take, for example, the Tiger and then make a semi-historical video on it. If you're interested in that, do let me know in the comment section, because I would definitely be up for that if you guys are up for me doing one. Anyway, let's jump to the Germans. So there is 2 new vehicles for the Germans, and interestingly enough, it's one of the lowest and one of the highest battle ratings that we're going to be seeing added here. Well, I say the lowest, I mean one on the lower spectrum and the higher spectrum. This is the SD KFZ 221 SPZ B41, or in my best German, Sonderkraftfahrzeug 221 schwerer Panzerbuchse 41. I probably butchered that for real Germans. I'm actually got kind of like goosebumps from saying that. That's weird. But this is a little German armored recon vehicle, but instead of the 221 usually had a MG42, this one has been outfitted with a schwerer Panzerbuchse, which means as much as heavy anti-tank rifle, I believe, or heavy anti-tank gun. The interesting thing here is 28-20 mils. I mean, make up your mind, man. Is it 28 or 20? The 28/20 millimeter cannon on top. I was skeptical when I saw this, and I was like, why? Why? It's like that. It's like that GIF of Ryan Reynolds when he like pulls a doctor's mask away, and he's like, why? I don't know. I think it's a little cool vehicle, and I didn't really give it a real second look until I looked at the modifications for it, and I realized that it obviously has it has one shell type, APCR, but the penetration at even 500 meters is still 66 millimeters. To me, that sounds like a lot. And obviously, if you're going to be hugging a tank, it's 95. But let's say you're doing some flanking, because this thing does go 72 kilometers an hour, which is rough 40 miles, if I'm not wrong. And obviously allows you to go somewhere fast, flank around, and then with 94 millimeters of penetration at 100 meters, that's quite a lot. Obviously, using APCR means no HE damage, so you're going to have to aim for modules. But 5 shots in, with the reload of only 3.5 seconds, 15 seconds, 5 shots. I mean, it's a little bit more than 15 seconds, but let's say 4 shots, which would be about 15 seconds. You are going to cripple a tank if you get 4 accurate shots in. Now, I did hear one of my friends say that it was pretty cool how he drove around in a test, but the downside of it was that accuracy seemed to be kind of down. So maybe not exactly what I'm saying that it should or could do, but if you can get this on the flank of a vehicle, pretty sure you'll do some damage. Then again, very low armor. Any sort of American vehicle with a 50 cal is going to look at you, smile, and just hold spacebar until you're a smoking wreck. Anyway, let's move on to another tank in the same patch that's being added, or another vehicle, but it's a little bit of a different caliber. So here, the other new vehicle added in this patch, for the ground units anyway, for the Germans, is the Leopard 2A4 at a battle rating of 9.7. Obviously quite a step up from the 221 1.3 battle rating vehicle, so I don't know, I thought that was kind of an interesting contrast, seeing that they added these 2 ground vehicles. The interesting difference between the 2K, or the Leopard 2, and the 2A4 is that the 2K only weighed about 50 tons, fully operational, ready for combat, and the 2A4 weighed a complete 5 tons more. Now, what you mean, like, it's like, that's a 10% increase, but they did not increase the engine or the capacity of the engine for the 2A4. So it became 10% heavier, but it did not gain any engine capacity or did not get an improved engine or anything. So the Leopard 2A4, while obviously having more armor and being more protected than the 2K, lost a little bit of its maneuverability, which I think is what one of the most beautiful things about the Leopard 1 was the, I guess, comparison to other tanks at the era, very low weight with almost no armor, because they realized, well, if we're going to get shot at, we're going to die anyway. We might as well be fast and do, like, in my opinion, a sort of post-World War II blitzkrieg. So another thing between the 2K and the 2A4 is that the 2A4, much like the XM803 versus the MBT-70, they lost the 20 mil. They lost the Rheinmetall 20 mil, and I'm not really sure why. I'm gonna assume it has to do with complexity of the 20 mil, or maybe they just wanted to cut down on costs, or who knows. I mean, the MG3 is definitely a machine gun that's at all gone out of service. I mean, I know there's lots of countries in Europe and also outside of Europe who still use MG3s, and this tank was made somewhere in the 80s. So they did decide to lose a 20 mil for an MG3. I mean, I think the MG3 is a beautiful gun. It's actually got two. It's got another one in the coaxial. Not that it really matters, but I think it sucks because you do lose a little bit of killing power. Not so much against planes, because in my personal experience, sniping a jet with a 20 mil is relatively rough when you're also trying to focus on other tanks, but shooting at some lighter armored vehicles with a 762 MG3, not the best option. Whereas obviously 20 mil, you know, could have maybe saved you here and there. As the War Thunder devs themselves put it, I'm not sure how to take this myself, but as they put it, the difference between the Leopard 2K and the Leopard 2A4 is that the 2A4 can take a more frontline combat role than the 2K, having a composite armor composition versus the more thin sloped armor of the 2K. So let's move on to the next one. Here is one of the new Russian vehicles added in the 1.79 update, the T-62m1. Now I did a little bit of research, and the main difference between this T-62 and the one just above it, at 8.0, so you're a whole battle rating above it, is the fact that this one cannot fire ATGMs. Also, in what, I don't know why, maybe someone in the comment section can enlighten me on this, it can mount side skirts. Now, not the side skirts that I was expecting, because is it a plane? I'm not really sure why or what, like, historical reason they have or why they are that way. Obviously, the tank already has some sort of added on, you can even see it here quite clearly, some sort of added on sight skirts to stop ATGMs. I'm assuming that these might, I'm gonna say something weird, they might cut off the fins of a missile, or they might try and deflect a missile. I'm just really confused as to what these are. If they're just like a sight skirt, it's kind of hard to get out my words here. It's like, are they a sight skirt add-on to the sight skirts? I don't know. But the main difference between this and the T-62 is, of course, like I said, the effectiveness can also fire the 9M117 ATGM. So I think between ATGMs and these sort of fake baby wing sight skirts, the 1.0 battle rating increase over the T-62 is sort of justified. I'm just really wondering what these like sort of baby wings are. Anyway, let's move on to not a new tank, but a little bit of an added flavor to an older new tank. All right, so up next is the T-64b V. Now, you might ask, this is just a T-64b. Well, it is, until you open up the modifications menu and install the ERA set for it. Obviously, there comes with some downsides, but you'll probably want to put this on because I've read up that in some cases the Contact, which is the name of the system, would add up to a total of 800 millimeters of protection, at least against HE and AT gyms. And considering high tier, as far as I've seen, is mostly an ATGM fest, at least what I've seen. Your experience may differ, but I can really see why you would want to have as much, I guess, defense against ATGMs as possible. Now, I haven't tested this myself, but the cool thing about this system is apparently they can either A, be blown away by machine guns or high explosive rounds from like a 20 mil, or if a shell hits it, it will actually, bounce off, but also destroy the ERA armor. So an ATGM hit or an HE shell will definitely not get through, but if you keep shooting in the same place, theoretically speaking, you should be able to get through the ERA armor and actually get through to the tank itself and thus be able to destroy it. Let's go to the next one. So, for the British, we have the beautiful Mark 6A AA tank at a battle rating of 1.0, armed with a quad BESA machine gun, which as far as I'm aware are Czechoslovakian, well yeah, no, it doesn't exist, but back then their country of Czechoslovakia still existed, made machine guns. And this tank actually is a tank I've seen multiple times in Men of War, another game I've played a lot of. And in Men of War, it acts as a very early on sort of light infantry support vehicle, almost like an APC. At 600 RPM, I don't know. I mean, is that for each gun? Or is it in total? If it's for each gun, you're looking at 2,400 rounds. If it's in total, I don't know. I wouldn't say if I know if I'm a big fan at that point. But, I mean, it's just a little meme tank. People at 1.0, rejoice you got a new meme machine to fuck around with. Let's take a look at the modifications. So it comes with the shit 8 millimeters of penetration. There's 13, there's 13. So 13 mils of penetration is going to be your best bet at killing anything. I mean, hey, at the very least, you'll be able to kill this. I mean, this has 14 millimeters. Oh my god. You might not even be able to pen the 221 reliably. Although, as you can see, it doesn't have a lot of hull armor or turret armor, so you could definitely destroy the 221. If that's the main reason of you buying this, don't. But we're just a little meme machine that I'm assuming can spam tracers. Didn't even look at that yet. Well, there we go. You get 3 tracers per 4 bullets. That could be actually a very nice little tracer hell. And this is 2 tracers per 4 bullets. So the APIT will give you 3 tracers per 4 bullets, making it look like the sky's on fire. Let's go to the next British tank. Another vehicle added in the 1.79 update is the Chieftain Marksman Sp. It comes with 2 35mm guns, and I think the main improvement of the Chieftain Marksman over the Falcon, which precedes it in the tech tree, let's take a look at that, is the fact that it comes with bigger guns. It loses a little bit of RPM, and it also loses a little bit of overall ammo, as you can see, from 620 to 500, and from 600 to 550 shots per minute. But like I said, it does gain larger caliber rounds, and the fact that it actually comes with a buttload of more armor. With only 12 millimeters of hull armor versus 86, a Falcon can basically be wrecked by a small caliber round from a plane. Like a 20 mil is going to damage your Falcon. Good luck trying to damage a Chieftain Marksman. Also, the Chieftain Marksman comes with the AA system, or the radar system for the AA. So you'll have a target lead indicator in realistic battles if you are playing RB. So you can more accurately shoot down planes, and I've tried shooting down jets in RB tanks with an AA vehicle before, and it's pretty hard. I haven't tried it yet with a radar version where you have lead indicator, but I can only assume it's a little bit easier. Anyway, moving on to the next one. I'm not gonna lie to you, when I first saw the word AVRE, I really thought that they were going to add the Churchill AVRE, which has a 290mm spigot mortar launcher. Now, I do not think that War Thunder is necessarily ready for a Churchill spigot, but maybe one day. Meet its, I guess, younger brother, because it is built after, yeah, meet its younger brother, the Centurion Mark V Aviary, with a little bit more of a decent gun at just 165 millimeters. And I gotta say, this does look like, I don't know, to me, having never seen one of these IRL, it looks like one of those things you would see in a slightly romanticized anime in which there's like a transforming sort of machine. This thing looks kind of like it didn't really exist, in my opinion. Loaded to the ass with ERA armor all over the front, the tank comes with almost 16 kilograms of explosive shell per shell in its high explosive squash head rounds. Now, according to the War Thunder dev blog, actually getting a kill with this might prove a little bit harder, considering a lot of these tanks, I mean, we just looked at the T-64b V, have a lot of ERA protection. Then again, you can blast their ERA protection away with the first round and then blast straight on through with a 165 millimeter-ish shell. As we can see, the penetration is 203 millimeters, which isn't actually that horrible, and it is that way at every single range, with a projectile mass of 31 kilograms, where the explosive mass, though, is almost 16 kilograms, which is just ridiculous. Tank obviously is a premium, sits at a 7.0 for, I think it's a bundle, you cannot buy it with gold, at the British rank 5 tech tree. And I gotta say, I'm actually kind of inclined to get one of these in the live servers, because this does look like a little fun, kind of like a baby. Well, it does have a bigger gun than a KV2. It does look like a KV2, but like a higher tier one. And even the War Thunder devs themselves kind of make a wink, saying, "Hey, you should play this if you like obliterating people with a giant explosive shell." Kind of excited for this one. Hope to see it turn out well in the live servers, and I'll probably get one myself for a video at some point. Last but not least, for the British in the 1.79 update will come the Super Conqueror. Now, the Super Conqueror is much like the T-64b V, an upgrade of the regular Conqueror, and it adds, oh, wrong button, it adds some ERA armor to both the front and the sides of the turret. Now, I don't really think it's a giant difference. I mean, let's try that again. Turn it off. So like I said, you can see it around the turret right here and around the front right here, just below the gun barrel. But it's not like a super huge difference. I mean, it does and will likely help you from an ATGM or two, but I mean, it's comparing it to the BV, I think the Super Conqueror is kind of underwhelming, especially considering that the BV just is one very sexy looking Russian tank. Anyway, that is all for the British. Let's move on to Japan. Back when I played a lot of War Thunder, days or patches that Japan got more than one vehicle were very rare, and so as well in this patch there's only one ground vehicle being added for the Japanese, which is the Type 90. And I do not know a whole lot about the Type 90. I can't say that it looks a lot like a Leopard. It is an indigenous design, and so it was based on their previous design, and the Type 90 was made to defeat and comfortably defeat the Russian T-72s, and it came out with the Type 90, which has this 120mm gun, and it just has everything that, in my opinion, makes it look like a Leopard. Does it mean the Leopard is just an amazingly tank design? Who knows? It does realize, however, I do realize that the hull armor, turret armor, for a 9.7 battle rating tank are really, really low. And I guess that it does have a 73 kilometer per hour max speed, which if we go back to the German little shit vehicle, it only does 72. So what you're telling me is that this little fucking meme machine, technically in a race I'm assuming the acceleration on that car might be quicker. In a race on a straight line, the Type 90 might even win it, which is kind of ridiculous, and I really want to put that to the test, but I'd have to find a map with just a straight line, and have to find someone who owns a Type 90, which I guess maybe I could do that with someone, but it'd be interesting to see how that works. Anyway, interesting little, I guess, mention here. 73 kilometers an hour, comes with a 50 cal, and a 120 millimeter gun, which I promise you apparently isn't German, which surprises me if anything. Interesting little tank. This really scares me at a 9.7 battle rating, so maybe Japan will get more love in next updates. However, this is obviously only the tank video. We'll be looking at their planes, which should only be 1 or 2 in the next video, but I mean, at 40 millimeters or 35 millimeters of hull armor, I just kind of feel bad. I also don't understand how their front is only 35 millimeters, but then you cover the side with 80 millimeters. I don't know. Let's just forget about this one. Let's go to the next one. With the Italians not getting any love in this patch when it comes to ground forces, it only leaves us with the French, who do gain this very capable AMX-40 at a battle rating of 9.0. Now, AMX and Giat, who I believe are the producers of the gun, did not really see their previous prototype, the AMX-32, do really good. And they were trying to figure out a way to make that prototype sell to some sort of country. France didn't want it, and then it turned out that, you know what, we'll upgrade the AMX-32, call it the AMX-40, and try again. And failed again. No one really wanted to buy the AMX-40, and then eventually I believe they went on to produce the Leclerc, which is a very damn good looking tank, I gotta say. I've played a lot of Wargame Red Dragon, and the Leclerc is a very sexy looking tank. And actually that one got adopted by the French army. The AMX-40 didn't. The most serious investor or participant in the project was Spain, and they dropped out for whatever reason, you know, probably financially. In War Thunder, the AMX-40 comes with a 120mm gun by Giat. It comes with a 20mm, which is kind of hidden. Trying to find it. Is it? Oh, it's right here. It's not hidden. It's right next to the main gun. Gotta say, I do like that. A little meme, if I can call it that. The fact that you put a fucking 20mm gun as a coaxial is kind of crazy. Let's be honest. Gotta say, a pretty good looking tank. Unlike French cars, which I think look garbage, looking at you there, Renault and Citroën. This is actually a pretty good looking tank. Kind of like from the ass of it, okay, should maybe rephrase that, from its butt, kind of almost looks like a M8 airborne tank. Also ones that are, I think, found in Wargame Red Dragon. This actually does look like a pretty cool tank, gotta say. It looks really nice. I'm especially just impressed by the 20mm right here inside of the main gun. That does look very, very nice. Armor, I mean, listen, we just came off a Japanese tank that had 37mm of armor at a high battle rating. I don't really know what to say. It's better than that. It's got some ERA on it, not a lot. It's actually this is the side skirts. It doesn't have, I mean, is that, no, that's not ERA. I mean, those are just extra tracks, just tiny bits of added on armor. Actually, I lied when I said there was ERA armor anywhere. There is none. So, I mean, an ATGM, is this gonna blow it up? I don't really know. Also, it only has 2 rounds, AP, FSDS, and Heat FS. Kind of disappointing. Maybe an ATGM would have made this a little bit of a better vehicle. I think the main thing is the fact it doesn't have any ERA at a higher battle rating and has not an unlock for ERA as far as I can see here. I can see this being a little bit more in trouble. Then again, hey, you know, we got the Japanese Type 90. I mean, that's nothing to write home about either. Anyway, for now, hope you guys enjoyed. Next video on the dev server will be of the planes, if I can get it in before the dev server closes. And then let me know in the comment section, like I said, if you want to see more videos like this, but probably more specific into a single tank. For example, I would personally prefer to start off with, of course, the beautiful Tiger, if I could really quickly grab just a Tiger H1. I would do a video on a oh my god, why do I have all these bushes on this tank? I would start up with a video on a Tiger 1, probably have some gameplay in the background, and go over its historical and combat use, and just give you some background information, while obviously looking at the tank both in the garage, looking at its armor, comparing it to its historical counterparts, and also looking at it in game and how it performs, and how it performs against, hopefully, its historical opponents. But as most of you know who play War Thunder, playing a Tiger H in War Thunder and assuming you're going to go up against T-34s and M4 Shermans, you're going to be surely and sorely disappointed. For now, hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to stay awesome. Cheers.